everyone, and welcome back to another episode of We're Watching Star Trek, the original series. I am Brandon, and as always, I'm here with Paul.
Yo, what up, people? Another episode. Let's talk about it. Let's get it.
And I'm actually not here with Paul, but I'm also not here with Dan. We're physically all in different locations. But Dan?
Howdy.
Nice and simple. Very nice.
Ooh.
Oh, sorry. Hi, everybody.
There
you go. There's the enthusiasm we're looking for.
I was hoping someone would say, hi, Dr. Nick. The reference, Simpsons? No?
Yeah. Nobody. How come you got the goofiest references? Both of you guys be like, oh yeah, blah, blah, blah. Be like, what are you talking about? I'm a super nerd, and I don't understand half you guys' references.
And now you're going to get me sidetracked on The Simpsons, so I'm not even going to go into it, because I feel like this one might run a little bit today. But we are watching Season 1, Episode 24, This Side of Paradise. The original air date was March 1st, 1967. And as always, we open with a shot of the Enterprise. It's approaching Omicron Ceti 3. And everybody's hanging out on the bridge, and Uhura tells Kirk that she's been transmitting a contact signal every 5 minutes, but there hasn't been any answer, which it seems like nobody ever answers the Enterprise. Like, they're just always talking to space, and nobody ever answers them back.
Leave that phone ringing. It's just the Enterprise. Leave it ringing.
Yeah.
I know what I call
it. They call her ID. Like, it's fucking Kirk again. Like, we don't need to meddle it on over here.
It's like a bill collector. It's like, that's the Enterprise. Just let him go. They'll call back again later.
So Kirk, he's talking to Spock, as he does every now and then, and he says that there are over 150 men, women, and children on the colony where they're headed, and he wants to know what their chances of survival are, and Spock says that there's absolutely no chance that they're alive down there. He says that there's some birth toll rays, and they're a recent discovery, and that they don't have full knowledge of the nature, but they do know that living animal tissue disintegrates under exposure, and Sandoval's group have been there for 3 years. So they're just like throwing a lot of names, and not names, but, just a lot of info at us real quick. And Kirk asks if they can afford to send some people down to the surface, and Spock says, yeah, they can risk some limited exposure, as a breakdown of tissue doesn't begin immediately, so they've got a little time.
But it will help you lose weight, though.
Yeah, over the course of a couple of years. It'll be all skin and bones. Well, maybe just bones. Mr. Painter, the helmsman, informs Kirk that they've established an orbit around the planet, and they've pinpointed a settlement. So Kirk says that he wants a landing party of 5, and including McCoy and a biologist, to accompany him to the surface in 10 minutes.
And by the way, I immediately thought the biologist was going to be a female. But
Me
then
too.
I remembered, wasn't Sulu the biologist in the first
Yes.
I thought he was a botanist.
A botanist, my bad. Or is that the same wheelhouse? Like, botanist is plants only, right?
I think it is. Yeah, honestly, I don't know. I think so.
I think botanist, I know, when I heard biologist, I thought Sulu, and I was like, oh, I must have confused biologist and the other one.
Well, actually, I don't know. I think they just call him the life sciences officer. So yeah, he would be biology and botany, right?
Yeah, I assume.
This would have been a perfect episode for him to do more.
Yeah, I thought, as soon as I heard that, I thought about that.
Well, 10 minutes later, I assume about 10 minutes, they beam down to the surface of Ohio, because apparently that's where it's not Ohio, but it could be, because everywhere they go, this looks like it's fucking Ohio.
It's funny you say that, too, because it is truly true. Every time they go somewhere, when they went to that, the Pleasure Planet, with the imaginary stuff, it looks like Ohio, too.
Yep, they just keep going to Ohio. I don't know why.
Well, Ohio's where it's
it just keeps pulling them in. They can't get away. Yeah, no, it's not.
I didn't mean to lie. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, they take a look around, and they immediately notice that there's some empty-looking buildings and like an empty stable around. And Kirk just kind of does this weird monologue about how sad it is that people took a year to go to that planet and then they died. And then some guy just like speaks up behind him, and he's like, "Oh, we're not exactly dead. We're just kind of standing back here behind you." And he welcomes them to Omicron Ceti 3 and introduces himself as Elias Sandoval. Then we get the show opening. And then we get the old captain's log, just explains that they didn't expect to find anybody alive and that they were wrong. There are a bunch of people living there.
They're wrong a lot. Every time they expect something to go one way, it's the complete opposite.
Yeah, and for some reason, I still don't expect it to be the opposite. I was like, oh, they're going to go down there and everybody's going to be dead. But of course, everybody's alive and fine. And I didn't expect that. They get me every fucking time. So Sandoval says that haven't seen anybody outside of their own group in 4 years, and he explains that their subspace radio doesn't work and that they don't have anybody that knows anything about it, but they don't really give a shit. And he proposes a tour and just kind of like walks away. He doesn't even wait for them to agree. He's just like, oh, let's go on a tour, and just leaves.
Well, then they hang back and like talk about it for a minute.
Right, yeah. McCoy just is like talking to Kirk, and he's like, well, my educated guess says that Sandoval is very much alive. And I was like, well, I really hope that this, because I forgot that Paul read us the description last week, and I was like, man, it would be amazing if like all of these people were actually dead, but were controlled by like a parasite or something.
Oh, that would have been an awesome episode.
So Spock remarks that the planet's being hit pretty hard by those Bertol rays, but that they should be safe for about a week so they can, chill and check everything out. But he's really concerned that the other people are alive. And then Sulu actually asked the question. He's like, well, are you sure that they're not actually dead? He's like, are they really alive? And McCoy's just like, yeah, Spock or Kirk shook that guy's hand.
I want to say something right here. That is one of the most amazing written lines ever to me at this moment. Like, are you sure they're alive? That is so cleverly put in there. I was like, when he said that, I thought, yeah, that's a really good question.
Yeah, dude, Sulu's on top of it.
Because like a lot of times in this show, they have a habit of like doing like really super clever things and asking a question that is obvious, but you don't really think to ask it in the first place. And when he asked that, I thought, oh, that's a good question. Like it sounded really profound when he said it. It's really profound when he said it. It was a good question. This is one of those life altering questions that like, are you sure you're alive? Like, am I alive? Are I really alive? Like, it's just one of those really weird questions that had me like really impressed by the way to write this show.
I like to think that Sulu's one of those people that just like spends his whole day daydreaming about the zombie apocalypse and him getting to use his gun collection. So he's just like, man, I really hope these guys aren't really alive. Like, I hope they're undead because I really get to use my collection and put that to work.
He's like, I brought my revolver with me this time.
I still want a Sulu episode, man. Like every time he does say something to show, and it's just an interesting character. I wish he gets his. Hopefully, eventually, he'll get an episode with just about him and his history and stuff like that. That'd be really cool.
Yeah, we need one for him. We need one for Uhura, and at some point, I would like to see Janice again. But apparently, she's just not fucking there anymore.
Next time we see her, she'll be having a baby.
Yeah, nobody even talks about her either, though. That's the weird thing, is that they do not mention her at all.
Well, Kirk put a gag order on his crew not to speak about it.
Oh. Yeah. One thing I noticed is I haven't seen anybody pregnant on the ship yet. I'm curious how that works. Now, do you mention maybe she's pregnant and she's gone? Like maybe she's pregnant and she's on paternity leave or whatever inside the ship. I'm assuming they have pregnancies on there.
Yeah, they just dump them off on another planet as they're passing by. Though, realistically, though, they go to enough colonies and star bases that they kind of could. Like, hey, you're pregnant. Once you get past a certain point, you're probably better off not being on the ship. And we're just going to leave you here so you can get the medical attention that you need.
The funny thing about that is, though, a lot of the planets they go to they kind of look like they're almost based like 18th, 19th century.
Yeah.
So they're not advanced in technology, so you're going to be having a rougher birth than you probably would be on the ship, I would guess.
Someday I'll do an episode of all about how we think life would living in a starship would be. Like all the random general questions that, to real deep things like, I don't know, how you going to date in there? Get somebody pregnant in there? That's random thing, because now I'm curious about all this stuff now, how Starship works, the inner workings work.
And most of the crew never gets to leave the ship that we see anyway, so they're just on there for like months at a time.
Yeah.
Well, every time they get to go down with Kirk, a lot of them end up dead, so they probably don't want to leave the
some
ship.
Crazy shit happens. Yeah, every fucking time.
For some reason, I feel like the inner workings would be more interesting than some of the trips should do. Like, to understand everything inside. I think that'd be really cool. New Star Wars.
There's another one. Well, we already have Lower Decks.
Well, Lower Decks kind of covers that.
And Lower Decks anime though.
It's animated.
Yeah, that's animated. It's animated, but I'm saying it's animated though. I want to see like a real life structure with like all the drama and the whatever goes on in there. I want it all.
Man, you were just gonna saturate the market with Star Trek shows.
Yes, well they can do it with Star Wars, so why can't I do it with Star Trek?
You're gonna have like an entire show of just like them training janitors, and then just like It's like Star Trek janitor fleet or some shit. Like just every possible scenario.
Dude, I'm just saying. I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna take a Star Trek, but I'm gonna make it do it like Marvel, the MCU.
It's gonna be an entire series about that guy that walks through a hallway and like his shoes untied and he trips over it. Just a whole fucking series leading up to that moment. Just everything you can do, set it in the Star Trek universe.
Yep, doing it all. I want it all.
Yeah.
And he gets promoted to security guard.
Yeah,
Oh, man.
and he doesn't look right and then gets killed. So Kirk, he wants to know what's going on and he just proposes that they just go get answers. So they do follow Sandoval. And they go into this house, and Sandoval's explaining that they split the settlement into 3 groups to lessen the chance of them all being wiped out by disease, which is actually a pretty solid plan. Good for them. And then a woman named Layla walks in, and she's the settlers, the colonists' botanist. And she steps forward and immediately takes notice of Spock. And I was like, fuck, I thought this was going to be a her and Kirk thing. And it's, blonde hair, blue eyes, and they did that shot where she's obviously noticing somebody, and I thought she was gonna have a history with Kirk, but no, it's Spock's turn now.
Which is crazy. They got the same type. I'll put that too. You got the same type as Kirk.
That's why
what
they're
a coincidence. What a coincidence.
Yep.
You said a girl over there, Mr. Spock. Yes, I do, Kirk, Captain.
Spock's over there like dibs. Logically, this one's mine.
Logically, you have no chance against me. Oh my God, I'm trying to pick up girls. Oh my God, this would be amazing.
No,
See?
no, we're not.
Yes,
It's not a show.
Dude.
God damn it, it's not a show.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Seeing Spock trying to pick up chicks is a show in itself.
Just all of his logic and all of like the failed shit that he would say, just because like the logic fucks everything up. She's like, "Oh, Spock, tell me I'm beautiful," and he's like, "Well, logically, compared to the average woman."
I gotta stop. Oh my God, I'm laughing aside. Ooh, take a deep breath.
So if he speaks dirty to her, is he going to literally speak about dirt?
Oh, Jesus Christ. Probably.
Dating advice from Spock. Oh my gosh, this is great. Logic.
Oh no.
Oh, yes, it's a great show.
Wait, we got there early.
Yeah, we did.
So Sandoval introduces everybody, and Layla says that she and Spock have met before, and Kirk is like, all right, look, I don't have time for this shit because it doesn't involve me, so we got some examinations and tests to do. And Sandoval's just like, all right, go ahead and do those. He says that they live a simple, peaceful life with a few machines and no vehicles and no weapons. So Kirk's like, fuck yeah, I guess I have a phaser, so this is my planet now.
He's automatically the most powerful person on the planet.
Yeah, you go there with just like one weapon, and then it's yours.
Not hard to conquer.
No, not at all.
Oh my gosh.
But we go outside, and Sulu and a crewman who never gets a name. Like they went down with 5 people. We knew 3 of them, and then there were 2 crewmen. One was Desal, and then the other guy just never gets a name. And this is the unnamed crewman. But they're looking around, and Sulu rests on a post by some flowers. Which also weird time to bring this up. But even if they had his name, I wouldn't have caught it because I still had no fucking English subtitles. So I don't know what's going on with this show.
More German?
Yeah, this shit needs to stop. It's so hard to get the names of some of these things when I can't read them. But anyway, the crewman opens a barn and he finds out that there are no cows in there. And Sulu's like, well, I want to see that there's no cows. So he gets down to look. And when he does, the flower he was sitting by turns and follows him, but he doesn't notice it.
And he's like, oh yeah, there's no cows in here.
Yeah, he's like, oh man, I haven't seen any animals at all. Like, it is just an empty barn. How weird. And so we jump to Sandoval and Layla, and they're talking about her relationship with Spock, and she says that she knows him from Earth 6 years ago, and that Spock never expressed feelings for her because he has no feelings to give. Big surprise. And he asks her if she wants Spock to stay with him, and she's like, well, he really has no choice, and now it just sounds like they're going to kidnap him.
I thought the same thing.
So McCoy is he's running around, he's doing some tests on people with his tricorder, and he says that he's examined 9 men so far and that they're all in perfect condition. And he's talking to Kirk about this, and then Kirk gets a communicator call from Spock who tells him that the planet seems to be devoid of life aside from the colonists and some various plants. And Kirk notes that Sulu noticed the same thing. And Spock's like, well, I really don't have a theory about this yet. So Kirk just fucking hangs up on him. He's like, yeah, I'm trying to figure this out. And Kirk's like, boring, just fucking hangs up. Like,
call me back when you know something.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you're supposed to know everything. So McCoy notes how strange it is, And Kirk says that their records show that they did have some animals for breeding and for food purposes when they got there. So McCoy is like, hey, I want to see, I'd love to get my hands on the medical records for the expedition. And Kirk is like, oh, here they are. Which first, like, why wouldn't he have seen the records before they went to the planet? And why the fuck does Kirk have them? And why didn't he hand them over before that?
All very good questions.
I thought their medical records are on the planet, though. Like, is it the ones that Starfleet has, or the ones that they've been recording on the planet while they've been living there?
Well, I would assume Starfleet
It would have
have
been before they went to the planet.
No, but I'm saying I assume he had Starfleet's medical records already. I thought he was asking for the medical records they've been keeping on the planet, but because they haven't had communication. Remember?
But they haven't been keeping medical records.
Oh, have they not? I don't know. That's what.
Oh,
okay.
No, they're all perfectly healthy and they're happy and they ain't got time for that shit.
They haven't been doing a whole lot of anything, honestly.
Okay,
yeah.
See, I was a little confused about that. I was a little confused how that went. I must get confused by the wording.
And then the thing that Kirk hands him just looks like a mashed up fruit roll up. Like, I don't know how like a fruit by the foot. I know it's supposed to be this disc, but it just had a really weird texture to it.
I didn't even look at it.
Yeah, it was really weird texture. So Sandoval walks in and he's like, why don't you guys come look at my fields and my crops? And McCoy says, nah, I got shit to do. I got to do more tests. So Sandoval and Kirk go outside and Sandoval is explaining that their soil is perfect for farming. And then a crewman approaches and explains that they're like, hey, they're growing a bunch of different stuff here, but they don't really grow a lot. Like, they don't have a lot of acreage planted. And he says that they have enough food to sustain the colony, but really not much more. And Kirk then gets a call from McCoy, who's like, hey, I understand you were just in here 25 seconds ago, but I need you to come back in here and look at something. So he does. And McCoy explains that Sandoval's medical records from before they went to the planet show that he had scar tissue on his lungs from the pneumonia that he had as a child. And he says that Sandoval's readings now show perfect, just like everybody else on the planet. And then Kirk asks if it's an equipment malfunction, and McCoy's like, no, I used it on myself, and it was supposed to show that I don't remember. I didn't take the notes of it, whether he was like missing his tonsils, and that it was showing that like
tonsils
and 2 cracked ribs. If I remember right, top of my head.
Yeah, and it was showing that he was like his medical condition was absolutely perfect, it showed his issues. Like, it showed that he was missing his tonsils and his 2 cracked ribs, but it did not show Sandoval's lungs being messed up, and that it also recorded that Sandoval had a healthy appendix, even though it had been removed.
Which was weird.
He must be an iguana.
Yeah, he just regrows all that shit. You think that would hurt?
The regrowing?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like inside parts?
I don't think so. I'm curious. I'm not sure.
So outside, Spock is scanning a field with Layla, and he can't even find any insects on the planet. And she says that she can explain it to him later, and Spock's just like, he says, I've never understood the female capacity to avoid a direct answer to any question. I'm like, same, bro. Like, I don't get it either.
Bro.
Right.
I wrote that whole quote down, I swear to God, and I'm going to put it on my wall somewhere. I swear. It's like every episode Spock says something profound, and I like the writers for doing that. Somehow he says something that's just so deep logically that if you don't listen closely and read it, you're like, wow. I love his character. I love the way he writes his character so much.
And apparently women have not changed much from our time until the future when it comes to being indecisive.
Don't get us canceled, sir. Don't get us canceled, okay?
That's what I think is hilarious about this, is like Spock can find a logical answer for anything, but then somebody's like, hey, Spock, can you help me figure out women? And he's like, fucking women, dude. Like, I can't do it.
Like, they're not logical at all.
Like even Spock said, I don't understand this. I can read everything but that. That's funny. I like the way you put that.
Such a solid
Ladies,
thing.
we love you. If you're a fan, we love you. Do not leave our show. Dan does speak for all of us.
It's all good fun.
You guys are amazing. Come, bring your friends, please. We like viewers. We like listeners. Come.
It's all good fun.
So
that it is.
So Layla then says that she's never understood him until now, and she approaches him and puts her hand on his chest and talks about how he never lets anybody get to know him, and so he just kind of like steps away and says that he wants to know how the people survive on that planet when logically they should be dead. She's like, okay, I'll show you, I'll let you know what's going on. But she wants him to try to understand how they feel about their lives there. and he says that emotions are alien to him, and he's a scientist. She says that others may believe that he, believe that about him, but that she doesn't. And then she directs him to follow her. And when they leave, she tries to grab his hand, but he just fucking pulls it away. He's like, ew, I'm not doing this.
Seeing Spock uncomfortable around a woman was so cool. But I can't say cool as much as it was like interesting. Like you never see him uncomfortable, which is like really, really good character arc for him too. Like he's like, oh, I thought he was awkward before in life. But he's truly awkward around this woman
because he don't fucking understand him.
Yeah, he can't. No, it's not. No, I think he can't understand himself. Like I think he knows he cares about her, so like it makes him awkward around her because he cares about her, but he doesn't really display that he cares.
Yeah,
it's just really cool. I like it.
I think it's funny he's playing hard to get without intentionally playing hard to get.
Yeah, he's playing the game without knowing it.
I like that. Good way of putting it.
So we go back to the house, and Kirk tells Sandoval that he has orders from Starfleet to evacuate all personnel from the colony within the hour, and tells him to get his people ready and that they have accommodations on the Enterprise for them. And Sandoval just says no. just no.
Are we good?
Yeah, he's like, no, I'm all right. Yeah,
I'm good, man. We got food here. I got my sports here. I got my life here.
Yeah.
We chilling. What do you I'm good.
We have vegetables.
Yeah.
You see, this is Kirk once again trying to come in and stomp on somebody's way of life.
I knew we were going to get there eventually. I knew it.
We're over here living good. We living on sports. We living off 1 apple a day, having the time of our life, healthy. We're breathing well. Our skin's good.
We're regrowing our fucking body parts.
Yeah, we're growing body parts. We living forever over here, and you want to come ruining with what I don't even know. I can't live here for free. Like I don't want. Like really talk. Let's break it down for 1 second. I don't want to get too crazy here. What are they doing wrong?
They're enjoying their lives, and that's not allowed.
The people on the planet.
The Federation says no.
Like what are they doing? Does the Federation come move them? Like they're there now. They're alive. That you don't doing their thing. What about them makes them want to leave this planet? Like I don't get why they want them to leave.
Realistically, I think that the issue is that they're on a mission to colonize the planet, and they're just simply not. They're like not doing any of the work, so they're basically not doing their jobs. But other than that, no, yeah, fuck it.
But if they had said, "Hey, you guys are here, you're not accomplishing the mission, you have to go back," that would make sense. They never say nothing like that.
Well, not to jump too far ahead, but towards the end of the episode, the guy Sandoval here does like lament that they've been there for 3 years and haven't done shit.
Yeah. I know that. I do. I get that. But he brings it up. That's not why the Federation wants them to come home, though.
Well, they never
explains why the Federation. Yeah. Kirk never explains why the Federation is ordering him back. He's just following orders from what he was told to do.
And he probably wasn't even told why they wanted him back. He was probably just told, "Get them fucking people back here."
Yep.
Yeah, need to know.
I'm just curious. They just get them back here, okay? But it's interesting.
Yep. So McCoy argues about the Bertol rays, and Sandoval argues, he's like, we're fine. Like, we don't have to worry about this. We haven't had anybody die at all. So Kirk asks about the animals, and Sandoval just says that they're vegetarians. So that doesn't really explain
I already
anything.
hate this planet because, nope, I would not live there.
You don't want to live on that planet?
Hell, no meat. Have you had a hamburger?
It doesn't matter, though. Under the circumstances, you'd be perfectly happy.
Let's put a pin in this conversation because this is the end of this is like the closing argument rant thing. I don't want to get to my closing argument this early into the show.
Okay.
All right.
So Kirk again asks Sandoval about the animals and all that shit, and Sandoval is just like, I'm not answering that, and we're not going anywhere.
Kirk's like, I have a gun, right?
Yeah, but actually, I don't think he brought one with him. But he could easily get one. He could just have one beam down, or just go back up there and get one. Yeah. So we go back to Spock and Layla, and they're on their way to so she can show Spock, what she wanted to show him, and he just wants to know about it. He's like, "What the fuck are you showing me here, lady?" And she's like, "Oh, it's not really important. But what is important is that it gives peace and love." And he's like, "Is it pot? Like, are you guys growing pot here?"
Man, that's the weirdest pot plant I've ever seen.
Yeah. But Spock says that it sounds like a happiness pill, and that as a scientist, she should know that that's not possible. And as they're talking, they approach some of those flowers, and one of them just fucking spits all over him, and he starts holding his head in pain.
I'm like, that flower just gave him a facial.
Yeah, pretty much. And you can tell that they really enjoyed like making and using that because they just fucking kept doing it in this episode. They're like, that thing is really fun to use. It's just fucking like spitting shit everywhere.
It's almost like confetti.
Yeah.
Like they made a confetti blower over and over and over again, kept using it.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, he drops to the ground and he's holding his head in pain, and Layla starts to get concerned, and she says that, hey, this whole thing shouldn't hurt because it didn't hurt anybody else, and he says that he's not like everybody else, but he is eventually overcome by the effects of the plant. And then the weirdest thing I've ever seen in my life is he tells Layla that he loves her, and then they start kissing, and we go to a commercial break. I didn't expect to see that with Spock. I mean, maybe eventually, but not now.
Yeah, Spock with emotions. No, I don't think he says he loves her. He says, I can love you.
Oh, does he?
I thought.
Yeah.
I thought he said I love you. Did he
That's
say
what
I
I thought
can
too.
love you?
I know he said I think he said I love you, I can love you, or she says I love you, and he says I swear he says I can love you, and I wrote that. I wrote that down.
I don't know. I'm not gonna go back and check, but
Yeah. I definitely wrote that down. He said I can love you, not I love you.
Huh. Well, either way, they're sucking face after this, and then the fucking plants are just watching, like, yeah. This is what we
hopefully
want.
they don't spit again.
Wow.
So we come back from the commercial break, and Kirk, Captain's log situation, and he and Sandoval are still arguing about the evacuation order, and Sandoval is still not budging on it. So Sulu and the other crewman he was with, they approach, and Kirk tells him about the evacuation orders and asks where Spock and DeSalle are, and Sulu hasn't seen them. So Kirk tries to give him a call with no luck, and we cut to Spock and Layla, and he's just like laying on her lap, and they're looking at some clouds, and he says that one of the clouds looks like a dragon. Then he's like, I've actually seen a dragon on it's like Berengaria 7, and he's like, but I never stopped to look at clouds or rainbows before.
I want them to go to that planet now because I want to see some motherfucking dragons.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
You can tell Spock is high on his memory.
Yeah.
he's lifted.
He also somehow changed into like a dark green jumpsuit. Like, was she just keeping that around?
Change?
Yeah.
I'm the guy I didn't notice that at all.
Yeah, he's wearing a dark green jumpsuit. Like they just had one laying around for when he got converted.
Oh, see, I saw. Now that you mentioned that, I'm looking to seeing it, but I didn't even notice it before.
When I saw that, I just assumed video game logic.
Yeah.
Oh, he just changed clothes real quick.
It
she just had it magically there with her, like, oh hey, I got this suit for you.
Yep.
Where were you hiding that?
She had it in her back pocket, in her inventory, like right in the back pocket the whole time.
That's cool. I didn't even notice that until you brought it up. Yeah.
So during all this, his communicator is just fucking ringing and ringing, and he just keeps ignoring it. And Layla eventually picks it up, and she asks Kirk, she's like, "What do you want?" And
yo, who it is?
Yeah. And he's like, "Where the fuck is Spock?" And he's like, where are you guys at? And Spock says that he doesn't want to tell Kirk where he is. So Kirk tells him about the evacuation order and tells him to report back in 10 minutes. And Spock just says, "No, I don't think so." And Kirk says, "No, I don't think so what?" And Spock goes, "I don't think so, sir."
Sir.
Fucking solid.
Yeah, I like that one.
It was stupid good. Just coming from Spock made it that much better.
Talk about good writing right here.
Yeah, just coming from Spock made it that much better for me.
Yeah, I don't think so, sir.
And Kirk doesn't know what the fuck to do with this. So
he's confused.
He just tells him to report back immediately. But Spock and Layla don't hear that because they're busy making out, and they drop the communicator because they were using their hands for other things. Yeah. So Kirk and McCoy are talking about this, and they joke about how McCoy said, Kirk's like, "Hey, you always said you would like it if Spock mellowed out a little." And then they're just like, well, maybe he actually might be in trouble, so we should probably go investigate it. And actually, this is one of the first instances of this show where I feel like this conversation was ad-libbed. It may not have been, but like it doesn't feel scripted. Like it feels like they were just having fun here and decided to keep it.
Yeah, I wrote that down too, something like that too. I like how Bones was concerned for him. It's so clever that like he makes fun of him all the time for being that way, but as soon as he wasn't his normal way, he was like, "Yeah, something's wrong with him." Like he's not acting like his normal self. Like he sounded concerned for once.
Yeah,
that kind of builds their whole Bones and Spock's friendship, because they have that kind of friendship where all they do is pick on each other the whole time, kind of like nag back and forth, without being without being so crazy about it. But it's just, I liked it a lot.
Yeah,
I like the
I
whole
just like
scene.
how they start out joking, like, "Well, you always said he should mellow out a bit." And they're like, "Ha ha!" And then McCoy's just
Yeah.
like, he might actually be in trouble. We should go. Let's stop fucking
Yeah.
around
We
and
should
go
go
find
help
out."
him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So McCoy is left in charge of the landing party detail while Kirk uses Spock's communicator to track him down. And then a little bit later, Kirk and Sulu and unnamed crewmen are looking for Spock, and they find him just laughing and hanging from a fucking tree, just hanging upside down from a tree branch. And we cut back to McCoy and the others as they're preparing to leave, and DeSalle brings a couple of the big flowers to McCoy, and he's like, "Check these out, dude. These are really interesting." Like, he just finds some fucking big ass flowers and just fucking like snatches them up out of the ground. He's like, "Hey, bro, you got to check these fucking things out." Like, they couldn't just go there
It's
and look
weird.
at
It's
them.
also weird. Like they're carrying them around and the roots are in the bag. I
Yeah.
understand that, but it's awkward. It's an awkward design of a spore of what I'm looking for. Awkward design of a prop. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's good for the show, but it was awkwardly designed. Like, so you can't carry it around like it should. I think it should have been something maybe smaller, or a flower pot, something that was more
Right.
able to be like, oh, let's check it out, and then squirt it. Wow, try the spores.
I wonder how long those things can survive in those little bags too. Not that it's important, but I only ask that because like one time there were the place I used to work, they were doing some maintenance around a building and they tore out a bunch of hostas, and they let us take them home. And so I gave my mom like 5 of them in a trash bag, and they sat in her garage for 2 years. And then she finally opened them up. She's like, "Shit, I should get those out of there." They were still alive and fine, and she replanted them, and they're still doing just fine.
Wow.
Yeah, those things are hardy as fuck.
And also, like, I'm not sure if it's the design thing or it supposed to look like a bag. I'm sorry, but the bottom has like these green. A couple has like these green. It's almost like Brillo pads or whatever in a way at the bottom of the prop design. I'm not sure if that's supposed
Yeah.
to be the roots, or is that like the nurturing. I'm gonna get way too deep, or that like what food where it's supposed to be fed at. I'm just once again, I'm the overthinker here. I'm sorry, guys. I overthink
Really
everything.
going in on this flower prop.
Yeah, it was really poorly designed. For a show that really has really good designs about everything, I thought that was really poorly designed.
They were weird. They were kind of like, looked like they had no weight, like they were made out of foam.
Yeah, just very, very awkward.
Yeah. So Kirk and the others, they go and approach Spock and Leela, and Spock's just hanging from that tree, and Kirk's like, "Are you out of your mind?" And he's like, "You were ordered to report to me at once." And Spock goes, "Well, I didn't want to," which I guess is as good a reason as any just to not do something.
Kirk's like, "What's with all these people telling me no?"
Yeah, he can't handle it, dude. His fucking ego. He's like, "I'm the captain, damn it." So Kirk wants Spock and Layla to go back with him to prepare to leave, and Spock says no, there will be no evacuation. And he tells Kirk that he should go with them to get him straightened out. So Kirk places Spock under arrest, and Spock's just like, "Nah," and he just casually walks away, like, and leads them to the flowers. So they all approach, and then the flowers spray their spores, and Sulu and the other crewmen get them all over them. And at this point, I'm like, man, Sulu has to be getting real sick of this mind-altering shit that keeps happening to him. Because anytime anybody's like getting
I
fucked with something,
I think he likes it.
He's really just out there experimenting with crazy drugs. That's all he wants.
I do have a note I wrote down that did you mention? I forgot to mention. You said when Spock was hanging on the tree and Kirk came talk to him. You guys didn't realize he called him Jim.
Yes, yeah. I was gonna make note of that, and then I was like,
No, I put it in a note because I caught it. He never calls him Jim. So I was like, Jim. I was like, oh, and I wrote down my. I just want to clear. I want to say that I noticed that just so we like. I put it in my notes. I forgot.
Yeah, I heard it, and I was like, I don't remember if he's ever called him that. I know Bones has. I think it's been all McCoy. So.
Yeah. Bones calls him Jim always.
Yeah.
No, 9 times out of 10 calls him Jim.
Yeah.
I think Spock would only logically call him by the proper title.
Right. Yeah, I think he always calls him Captain, doesn't he?
Yeah. Yep. As far as I remember, he always called him Captain. So when he said Jim, I really noticed. Man, I can't talk today. I'm having issues, man. I'm stuttering real bad.
So So Sulu just immediately is like, "Hey, Spock, I'm on your side now," and Kirk starts to get pissed off and just says that they're all going to go back with him to the ship. And then they leave, and Kirk approaches McCoy, who is under the effects of the plant now, And McCoy's like, yeah, we've beamed up, about 100 of these things to the ship. And for some reason, he has like a fucking country bumpkin, like Southern accent now that I don't understand.
Yeah.
He's like,
I didn't get that. I didn't get that.
He's like, I do declare we have beamed up about 100 of these here plants.
But the bigger issue here once again is Superman Kirk didn't get affected by the spores.
No, and
hold on, Paul. I want to correct you on that. That's not Superman. That's Batman.
Oh yeah,
Superman would get affected by the spores. Batman wouldn't.
He's standing right next to both those dudes that got, and he just didn't get hit at all. He's immune.
Well, I went back because I was curious about that too when I watched it, and he had like one of them land on his shirt, but they did pretty much all miss him in that instance.
Well, I think the reason why it doesn't affect him, and I know I'm going to jump ahead, is because he was in an altered state of already being mad, so it couldn't affect him.
Yeah, he was already pissed off at the Spock.
You know what?
Thing.
Okay, you know what, Dan? I can give that one to you. Maybe I can give that to you. I mean, I think you're overthinking it this time. I feel like you're overthinking it, but you know what? I'm going to accept that because it's something I can accept.
Well, yeah, you imagine, like, people are telling him, no, Spock is acting weird, like, calling him Jim. Like, he's probably pretty pissed. Just not really showing
He's not the one getting the lady.
Yeah.
He's just upset.
That's what really topped it off.
Yeah, like, and you calling me Jim and you got the girl? Oh, okay, it's like that now, huh?
Yeah, he's just having a fucking terrible time on this planet. But he does get beamed up to the Enterprise, and he finds that Uhura is also under the effects of the plants, and he tries to get her to put through a message to Starfleet Admiral for him, but she says that she short-circuited all but the ship's ship-to-surface communications. Damn, I had to really try not to trip over all of those ones.
A whole lot of S's.
So he sees one of the plants on the bridge, and he gets pissed off, and he picks it up and like hurls it across the room. and what was funny about it was like we already talked about how they look like they're made out of foam, so there's like no weight to them, and he tries to chuck this thing, and it just kind of floats across the room.
Yeah,
it looks stupid as fuck.
It was awkward. It was awkward design. Like I said, it's really awkward.
So he goes out in the corridor and he finds a line of crew members outside the transporter room, and he orders them to all go back to their stations. But one of them says that they're all going to go down and join the colony. And he's like, you need to get back to your stations right now. And the guy just tells him no. And Kirk's like, okay, well, like, this is a mutiny. And the other guy's like, yes, it is. So
Kirk's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, he's like, has everybody lost their fucking minds out here? And we get a commercial from there, and we go get a Captain's log again, and this one he's just kind of wondering why he hasn't been affected by the plants yet. So he's talking to McCoy over the communicator, and McCoy explains that he's not interested in any physical, psychological aspects because everybody is happy and they're healthy, and so he doesn't really give a shit why. So Kirk just asks him, pleading for any sort of help to figure out what's going on, and Bones just refuses and then hangs up on him, so he gets a little taste of his own medicine.
He's like, so that's what I've been doing this whole time to everyone.
Yeah, this feels like shit. So Spock and Sandoval are having a conversation when Kirk walks in, and he wants to know where McCoy is. And Sandoval offers Kirk to join them in paradise, which was a really weird thing to say. And Kirk just wants to know like where the fuck the plants came from and like just basically what's going on. And Spock, even though he's super happy, is still super logical and explains that the plants drifted through space until they landed on the planet and that they thrive on the Bertol rays. And he explains that in exchange for using a human body to house their spores, they give the host complete health and peace of mind.
Well, before we continue, what a bullshit answer. How do you know they came from space? Like, could they have not evolved on the planet itself?
Yeah, I tried not to question it. Like, it's plants from space. Like, all right. Weirder things have happened.
Like,
that's true.
So okay, I don't think it's that big of a thing, honestly. I just assumed that this was kind of study and learn, and so I was therefore into this area.
Yeah, it's just kind of I don't know, it's just like a throwaway explanation. It's just kind of like, I guess it's not important enough. Like, honestly, who gives a fuck where they came from? They could have just been there the entire time the colony was there. Like, who cares? They could be native to that planet.
Plus, Spock said it, and we just go with what he says and move on.
Yeah, he's always right
Yeah,
anyway.
he said it. Like, oh yeah, he said it. Let's move on.
Yeah. So Kirk just tries to convince them that man wasn't made for the peaceful, easy life, and that they have to have challenges. And Spock and Sandoval disagree, so Kirk goes back up to the ship. And then he walks around the empty bridge and just is like looking at all the equipment. And I was like, how the fuck has the ship not crashed with no crew right now? Because he's like the only person on the ship. And he tries to contact anyone. So like he gets on the intercom system and tries to contact anybody that he can, but he doesn't get an answer. And he decides to make a captain's log explaining the events of everything that have happened so far. And then explains that the ship can maintain orbit for several months because it's on like an autopilot, so that's why it hasn't crashed. Twice now, this episode has immediately answered the questions that I've had. But he does go on to say that he can't pilot it alone.
Really quick, I wanted to point out that the planet looked really awesome. And did you guys notice the northern lights on the planet?
I did not see that, no, but I did see that the planet does look really good. I wonder if that's like the Berthel rays effect.
I didn't. Yeah, that could be.
I bet it is.
Okay, I can accept that.
I bet that's what it is because they probably got the idea from the Borealis, whatever it's called.
The Northern Lights,
no,
the
the
Aurora
thing-
Borealis.
Yeah. Y'all can see
Localized entirely in your
Yeah.
kitchen in this time of the year. There you go, Dan. There's your Simpsons reference.
Yep. Can I see?
I'm gonna
Nope.
No.
I'm gonna assume they got inspired by that and kind of use that for this.
Yeah, or it was just their Northern Lights. I don't fucking know.
I don't want to say this whole scene right here is about to be like this whole scene with Kurt inside the bridge by himself was very daunting in a way.
Yeah.
You didn't realize how many people are in there until it's him by himself. You're like, oh yeah, I guess it normally is a lot of people on the screen. I just don't pay that much attention to him because there's always somebody in the background. But he sits there, has a look in his face like it's just looking at his face like he's just like wow, like it's really empty in
Yeah,
here.
it kind of had the feeling
it's
like
just-
it's the end of the series and he's taking his last walk through the ship before it gets like decommissioned or something.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
very, very, very cool. Very, very good idea. They do, like I said, these shows were clever. I thought it was really, really cool to see that for the first time and just kind of see the background and see Kurt in a place where he's like lost for a second. He's lost because he don't have a crew, which is funny because like he's always like strong. He seems like he'll be stronger with more people he has to. The harder the situation is, the stronger he seems to get. But in this one, the hardest situation is he just doesn't know what to do.
Right.
Like he's lost without a crew.
I-
You see him go to the other seat, and start the helmsman spot and start pressing buttons,
Yeah.
you know, and then like it's just I don't know, it's really cleverly done. I liked it a lot.
Yeah.
No,
yeah,
I
it's
agree.
really well
I feel
done.
like this is the most helpless he's probably been so far.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Helpless. I didn't think about that. Yeah,
Yep. So yeah, he is just kind of walking around the bridge and he's talking to himself and he starts to realize how big this ship really is when it's empty. And he says he doesn't know how to get his crew back because he doesn't have anything to offer against Paradise. And that's what my notes here says, that like it's really weird to see him kind of just giving up on this. Like Kirk is, this whole series he's been, we can do this, we got this, and now he's just like, this is kind of a hopeless situation for me.
but the situation is this isn't a we situation though. This is an I situation.
Right.
Normally it's we got this. He has his team to rely on in their positions. This time he's all by himself.
Yeah.
That's the bigger thing. It's like the first time he's by himself, it's just him. He's like, oh, I actually need somebody's help this time, and I got nobody around. So, really, really
Right.
good.
So while he's sitting here like having a moment for himself, one of the flowers is just like, "Hey, fuck you," and just like spits the spores on
Spray
him.
them.
The one he threw across the room
Yeah.
earlier. That's the one he threw across the
They
room.
fucking teach you to throw me, you piece of shit.
Yeah, I got something for you.
So then, he gets the spores all over him, and he calls Spock, and he's like, "Hey, I've joined you, and I understand now." And he says he has to go pack some things and get ready to beam down to the planet. And then on the way out, like he's packing up his stuff, and he stops and he takes a look at a medal that he has hidden away. And I don't know what the significance of that is because they didn't
Yeah,
say
I
what
hope
it
they
was.
touch
He's-
upon that now since they put it out there.
Yeah, he's just like, here's when I won the Captain of the Year award 2 years ago or some shit. I don't fucking like. It doesn't say anything.
He got a medal for no one dying for a quarter.
You know what? I think that's actually when he had a ladder match against Kurt Angle, and they put the Olympic gold medal up on the ladder instead of the title. And so he won that.
I
and he
kind of
kept
fought
it.
Kurt Angle.
Yeah, he's kept it locked away.
But Superman Kirk, he wins all fights, so he beat him down quick.
Yeah, I remember that.
Oh my god, he's doing the Enterprise up from the top rope.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they had that fight at No Mercy or something. I think so. So yeah, so he goes to the transporter room, and before he can beam himself down, he gets really pissed off and he snaps himself out of his daze, and he says that what he needed the whole time was anger. Like, dude, you've been pissed off this entire episode. So, well, I guess though, to Dan's credit, earlier he was like feeling kind of down when the plant got him. Like he was kind of like depressed, like he was feeling defeated, and then that's when the spores took over. And then when he got pissed off, he snapped out of it, which means that I would never fall under the effects of these plants because I am just pissed off every fucking second of every day.
Are you the Hulk?
Yeah, that's my secret. I'm always angry.
Always angry.
I'm always angry.
Yeah. That's when people go, why doesn't that make you mad? Because I'm always fucking mad.
I'm always mad. Then you do the
pissed
Hulk
off right now.
shirt rip, and it's really weird at work.
Yeah. So he starts another captain's log, and he's saying he thinks he found the answer to this problem, but that it's a risk because Spock is incredibly strong, and he don't want to fuck with that. So he calls Spock up and asks him to beam up to help with some equipment that he wants to bring down, because once they go down, they won't be able to get back up to the ship. And then I was like, first of all, I hadn't even considered that, so good thing he caught that in time. But secondly, how the fuck did he get back up there just a few minutes ago?
I wondered that also earlier in the episode.
Yeah, he was up on the ship with when he threw the plant, and he was all pissed off, and everybody else was gone. And then he beams down to talk to Sandoval for like 35 seconds, and then he comes back up all depressed.
Wait, does it?
Yeah.
Oh, they must have made a mistake. I didn't catch that.
I mean, maybe there were enough people still there, like lined up, ready to go, like still beaming people down. I'm guessing. Like maybe he happened to get there before everybody had left, but if not, how the fuck did he get back up there?
Yeah,
I could accept that because it's a pretty big ship and there's a lot of people on there.
Yeah.
You do realize this whole plot is reused, right? From the pilot.
Is it?
When Captain Pike, the bad guys, they couldn't read his anger. You remember that?
Oh.
The guy with the funny shaped heads?
Yeah, they did the anger aspect, yeah.
Yeah, like the whole emotions being able to not being read, so they're more able to attack. I noticed that immediately when he said that. I was like, oh, it's the same as the pilot, where they took the your emotions, you're able to beat whatever the bad situation is.
Yeah,
as a human.
So then we get one of my favorite scenes in the series so far, and that's Spock beams up, and Kirk's just chilling there with a fucking pipe, and just starts insulting the shit out of him. Like, dude, he is just hurling insults at Spock. And, like, he's just hitting him on everything. Like, calls him a fucking computer. And,
half-breed.
Yeah, half-breed. He starts talking about Spock's father.
Devil ear, freak.
Yeah, devil, yeah.
He must have
Did he call him an elf at one point?
Yeah.
Yeah, and he tells Spock that, he's a traitor from a planet of traitors, or he says that. Well, first he starts insulting Spock's father, saying that his father is from a planet of traitors, and then he tells Spock that he's a traitor from a race of traitors. And Spock is like, "Dude, you're starting to make me mad here. Like, don't fucking keep this up."
Oh, okay. That's what you want. Keep talking.
So and then he starts talking shit about him being a computer, and like how is he gonna be with Layla and all that. Like he should be replaced with circuitry or some shit. Like, just fucking lay it into him.
He said, he said, you got the gall to think you make love to that girl. I was like, oh, knock him out now. He kept going.
So then we get a really good measure of Spock's strength, because he attacks Kirk, and Kirk tries to block with a pipe, and he fucking splits that pipe in half with just his bare hand, and then backhands him across the room. So Spock is one strong motherfucker. So they have a quick fight with Spock just, winning the entire thing. Like, Kirk doesn't stand a fucking chance, and he knocks Kirk down and picks up a chair, and he holds it up over his head, and he's about to smash him with the chair, and then we go to a commercial break, so we get that that suspense there. But we come back after the break.
Hold on, before we go away from that break, that fight that scene you like, that fight was terrible to me, and it was because the stunt guys were so obvious not them.
See, again, I didn't even pay attention.
Dude,
yeah,
I'm that guy.
I didn't notice
that.
either.
It's really bad. Like, it's It's truly bad, and I get. But the thing was, the fight wasn't even that physical. So why did they even have to replace him with the stuntman? I don't get that.
Probably for insurance purposes or something. And like, people get hurt doing the
Don't
dumbest
okay.
shit.
Even when Spock came down with that little fake pipe thing, that guy was a stunt guy. That wasn't Kirk.
Huh. Yeah, maybe they just
Yeah,
didn't
that
want to
was a
take any
stunt.
chances.
Like even when he came down on the first punch of that fake punch on that pipe, it was already not Kirk. So or the actor. So I just don't get like what it didn't even look physical at all.
They probably just didn't want to risk, hurting their stars and fucking up their production. Because, like, at the end of the day, fuck it, leave it to the pros. Like, leave it to the guys that's their job. I mean, that's my guess.
Honestly, I was invested enough in the fight, the upcoming fight, when I saw him, have that steel pipe. I'm like, oh, this is gonna be good. That I actually didn't even notice them switching in and out the normal actors for the stunt actors.
Yeah, same for me.
I'm that guy. I noticed that a lot, and I just, especially for something that was so not physical. This was not really a very physical fight. It was, I just
most
thought they
fights aren't like UFC fights in real life, though.
Yeah, I mean, and I was okay with, like, I really wanted them to have a fucking brawl, but it makes sense that they wouldn't, because Spock is gonna dominate that. It's not gonna be a long fight, and it wasn't. Like, Kirk is just not.
What did he do? Like, hit him in the face once, and Kirk went down, and he pretty much just kind of stayed down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Spock's just strong as fuck.
Yeah, when you can bend steel, you're gonna have a solid hit.
He fucking broke that pipe. He broke it in half. That's where he fucked up. He gave Kirk 2 weapons instead of 1, and he didn't use either one of them because he got his ass kicked.
Someday we're going to have a show where we see a proper fight between Kirk and Spock.
I hope so.
I want to see a proper. I want a proper fight.
Yeah. So we do come back from the break, and Spock has come to his senses, and Kirk kind of jokes about how not every first officer gets to hit his captain several times. And then they decide that they can't make all 500 people on the planet fight each other. And Kirk tells Spock that he has a plan to put together some sort of broadcast system. And they go to do that, but Spock stops him, and he's like, hey, striking a fellow officer is a court-martial offense. And Kirk says, well, if we're both in the brig, who's going to build a transmitter? And Spock finds that reasoning very logical, so they go to do that. Which, like, Spock is, like, super down at this point. Like, he's just depressed.
Yeah.
Well, he gave into his human emotions, so I'm sure he's like, I don't like that.
Yeah.
He finally, later on when he says I was happy with it, well, like, he finally found happiness, and now it's gone. The spores are gone, and I just,
right.
You feel some type of way for Spock. Like, you enjoy him, he's strong, and other stuff like that. But you realize he wants to show emotion, but he just can't and doesn't.
Right. So we go down to the surface of the planet, and McCoy calls Spock for Layla, and she's like, real worried about him.
He won't answer my phone calls. He won't get hold of me. Oh, don't worry, I got him. I'll hit him.
Yeah.
I'll hit him up for you.
I'll call him right now. He always answers for me.
It's been 5 minutes. Chill.
It answers to me. Hey, bro, what's up? Oh, man, I go over. Dude, I've been known to call for a reason. Why you want to hit me up on your phone?
Trying to
trick me into talking to her. Yeah, I've been knowing her for a reason, but just put her on the phone, man. Now I got to talk to her. And now she got to come to my house now because you want to give her your phone. Now she knows I'm at home.
Which, I mean, what the fuck is, like, I know she's worried about him, but it's not like she's been sitting there trying to call him because she doesn't have a communicator or anything. So, if, like, fucking McCoy comes up and ruins it.
Yeah, has it been 5 minutes? Has it been 10 minutes? We don't know how long it's been.
Yeah. But she does get to talk to Spock, and she wants to go to the ship, and Spock offers to beam her and McCoy up onto the ship. And Kirk notices, like, Spock is just super sad. And this was one of the points where I wish I had English subtitles, because the way that Kirk said this, I couldn't quite make out what he was saying. And it sounded like he said that he recommends that Spock go and talk to Layla while she's still under the influence of the spores. But I don't know if that's exactly what it's what it sounded like. He said, like, yeah, you should go talk to her while she's still, all spored up. Which I don't know why he would want to do that, but.
Maybe to make her mad, break her under the influence of the spores?
Yeah, I couldn't quite figure it out. And then again, like, no English subtitles, and I can't read the German, so.
Yeah, well, okay, so it's on my screen. Give me 2 seconds, because I watch while we're doing that. All right, hold up. It says that, okay. Yeah, it says, but you should talk to her while she's under the spores, but it has a question mark at the end. I think he's trying to tell Spock, hey, she's coming up. You can talk to her, but you got to remember she's under the influence of the
Oh,
spores.
okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Mm.
Yeah, like just be careful because she's gonna say some shit and it's the spores talking.
Yeah, I think that's what he's trying to say because there's a question mark at the end of it. It says why
Okay,
if you talk to her while she's under the influence of the spores with a question mark. So I'm assuming that means hey, just remember that she's under the influence of the spores. So no matter what she says or does, don't take it as
yeah,
gospel.
that
I'm
makes more
assuming.
sense. That's why I wish I had the damn subtitles. But I don't know why, but like while I was watching this, I just had this random ass thought, and I was like, I bet Scotty would be a fuck ton of fun while under the influence of the spores.
Yeah.
Like he's already cool as shit, and
Yeah,
I bet them spores would just make that dude fun as fuck. Like I bet his
we didn't
his,
see
his
this
like
episode.
peaceful happiness is just like getting fucking loaded and like just having fun, just being crazy.
You know what would be the funnier thing since we're branding Scotty as a partier that the spores had no effect on him. Like, oh yeah, I've done harder stuff than
Yeah,
this.
he's like, I got a tolerance to this shit. He's like,
Yeah,
you know
we
the
didn't
shit I've
see,
done around this universe. Like these ain't nothing.
like I was trying to say, we didn't see Scotty this episode at all.
No, not at all.
All right. Yeah, I
Yeah,
thought it was kind of interesting. I thought he would have been good for this episode too.
yeah. So Spock does go to the transporter room and he beams Layla up, but not McCoy. He was supposed to come up and never did. And she notices that he's not with them anymore, like so he's not under the influence. And she tries to convince him to go back with her. Like, hey, let's go do some spores together. And he's like, no, that part of my life is behind me. And
I quit smoking.
Yeah.
that was 15 minutes
I don't smoke
ago.
no more.
You already
Come
put it
back to
behind
me.
He's like,
ya.
I went to rehab.
remember-
You know?
You don't remember smoking, eating pizza all day? Look, I gave it up. I'm trying to move on.
He's clean now. He's trying to better himself.
It's been 2 hours. You sure you don't want to come back already? You remember the good times?
Yeah. So yeah, she confesses her incredibly obvious love for him again, and he talks about his responsibility to the ship and to Kirk, and he delivers probably one of the best fucking quotes he's ever had in this series, and he says that if there are self-made purgatories, then everybody has to live in their own, and that his can't be any worse than anyone else's. And I'm just like, fuck, dude. Like, what?
Wow.
First
that
of
was
all,
a damn good quote.
some great dialogue, but just a great fucking scene in general. Like,
Yep.
Nimoy was just fucking amazing in this episode.
Great acting. Great.
Even,
Great.
like-
He delivered lines perfect.
And even I
Everything.
was like, fuck, dude, even their score is good for this because they didn't rely on like their normal music. Like they had some all new pieces, like some really like cello heavy stuff, and just a really fucking good scene.
My only critique about this episode, honestly, without summing it up in a second, is I don't like this actress. And I don't like this actress chick that he had. I don't like her voice. I don't like the way she spoke.
I
don't
thought
like
she was
anything about her.
okay. Yeah, I thought she was
I don't.
good.
I don't. They do that. They do that thing where you have these like really beautiful women speak soft and like. Oh,
yeah,
blah,
yeah,
blah,
it's just
It's
a project
yeah.
product of the time though.
Yeah, I find it really annoying though. I find it. I just find it. It's not like they had like real what's the word I'm looking for, airy, like really airy voices,
Yeah.
like and I don't like it.
Yeah.
Well, it might have
Like,
been off-putting if she was like super hyper, like, "Hi, Spock, I miss you," and like jumping all over him.
Oh god.
Well, no, it was kind of without getting deep. It's kind of the Marilyn Monroe effect, where Marilyn Monroe was like that, and then she was like the iconic chick, and a lot of people start talking like that, and that with that all area stuff right there. I don't like it. I don't think.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
think
this
it's cool at
is 67, so.
all. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, she says that she's lost everything, including her spores, and she tells Spock that she does still love him, and then she gives him a hug and says that he never told her if he has another name, and which was a really weird thing to bring up, and he just kind of has this little smirk and says that she couldn't pronounce it anyway, and yeah, just a great fucking scene. Nimoy was amazing. I really like that, like seeing that side of Spock.
Yeah.
I really hope we get more of that because that was really, really good. So we go to a little bit later, and Kirk and Spock are working on their device as Spock explains that the people aren't going to hear whatever it is they're working on, but that they will feel it. And then they finish up and they get it turned on, and we go down to the planet where Sulu and Desal are working on a field. And
For the next 2 or 3 minutes, we get the greatness of fights.
Yeah.
Just random fights and random styles and random fighting. And I think this is actually really cool because every fight seemed a little bit different.
You know what sound, or I'm gonna say song that they played to make everyone angry on that planet, don't ya?
probably fucking anything by AC/DC, but you're probably going to say Drops of Jupiter by Train.
Absolutely, that's what I was going to say.
Yep.
He said drops of Jupiter in her hair.
I know when I hear that song, it makes me angry.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
We
the
can have a real of bad fight scene where like R&B or like love music playing in the background. That'd be interesting. That'd be interesting. That'd be interesting to see.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, if they're playing like White Snake, Is This Love? That'd be really weird to fight to.
Yeah. It goes from like a fight to a makeout session.
That took a turn that I wasn't expecting on the show.
Yeah. So yeah, like you guys said, they're working in the field. You know, they hear the thing, they start an argument because like Sulu bumped into DeSalle or something, and then they have a fight, and then a bunch of other fights start, and McCoy is just like chilling by this tree, and Sandoval approaches them, and he's like, you know, I've been thinking about what work to have you do since we don't really need a doctor anymore, and McCoy gets in his face, and he's like, would you like to see just how fast I can put you in a hospital? Jesus Christ. He's like, don't need a doctor. Like, motherfucker, you're going to need a whole hospital here in a minute.
Yeah, keep running him out, see what happens.
I like mean bones sometimes.
Yeah, that was
solid.
solid.
I'll beat you up. I'll break your bones and I'll put you back together. And I'll beat you up again.
Fucking break him
fun.
again.
Oh, you think it's a game?
Oh, man. Yeah, that was solid. I love that version of McCoy.
You know, they call me Bones.
He's like, not because I fix them, but because I fucking break them.
Not because I break them first. I gotta quit. I'm gonna go on forever. Oh man.
So yeah, Sandoval's like, I don't want no part of this, and he tries to leave, but McCoy stops him. So they have a quick fight where McCoy wins in literally just one punch, just fucking punches Sandoval in the gut.
He said, hold my drink. No, I got it myself. In one hand, if you got a drink in one hand and beat you up with the other hand only, you need to sit down.
Yeah.
Like he's holding the drink, he didn't spill it, and he just smacked you once. You're like, yeah, I quit. I'm good.
Yep. What a total badass. I love McCoy.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, it looks really cool.
So after he like knocks him down with one punch, he apologizes. He's like, I don't know why I did that. And then Sandoval comes to, and he realizes that he and his people have accomplished absolutely nothing in the 3 years that they've been there. And McCoy is like, look, we got to leave because you can't survive here with the spores. And Sandoval's like, yeah, let's get the fuck out of here. Can you call Kirk for me? So they do that. And Sandoval agrees to cooperate with the move to Starbase 27, and Kirk tells him to just like start preparing, like we're gonna get you guys out of here. And then we go to a little bit later on the bridge, so everything's been wrapped up, and McCoy tells Kirk that the colonists are still in perfect health thanks to the spores, which makes me wonder if they could use those spores to maybe somehow harness their healing factor and not have the crazy like mental side effects of it.
Flesh-eating material.
Well, that was just because of the Berthold rays.
That's kind of part of my ending argument at the end of the thing I wrote down.
They abandon a lot of really good or potentially useful science in this show.
Cure-alls?
Yeah, like in this show, they just leave a lot of good shit behind.
That's part of my rant. Part of my rant at the end of the thing. So too.
Okay,
about that, but.
So yeah, they leave the planet, and Kirk is like, well, maybe man wasn't meant for paradise, but maybe we're meant to struggle all the time and earn what we have. And he kind of goes on this like little poetic rant about it, and Spock is like, hey, your poetry is non-regulation. And Kirk is like, well, we haven't heard too much from you about the planet. And Spock says that he doesn't have very much to say, except that for the first time in his life, he was happy. And then that's it. And they go away.
Which was amazing. What an amazing final line.
Yeah.
Cause it sums up, you're like, oh yeah, I kind of forget that he had to struggle through life so hard because he's half human and half Vulcan. So he has to really.
I wonder if that'll help him understand humans in the future, but more likely they'll just never reference it again.
Well, you got to remember, since he was grew up in Vulcan, even as half human, he still learned the Vulcan way.
Right.
So like, I don't know if Vulcans. I don't know if the human side of him has more emotions or not. I'm not sure how it works. I'm always curious.
Well, I think in the past he said that he repressed his human emotions, like to basically be like Vulcans. So like they're in there, but actually I think all of Vulcans repress their emotions and they like really strive for the logical side. So they have them in there. They just bury them.
Yeah. Okay. That's really good line.
Yeah.
Man, he's so good in this episode.
So yeah, if you want to go ahead with your thoughts on this one, Paul.
Oh, I'm first. Okay. Well, this is another thing where Kirk goes and tries to ruin people's lives just because he don't like the way they're living their good life. Let's say they were smoking some of that herbal essence, having a good life, with their on their planet, and even herbal essence was even letting them live longer and live healthy without diseases and curing them up, whatever. And still, Kirk and the crew's like, nah, y'all gotta leave this place. I know you're having fun, living a good life, but let's get out of here. Uh, I also noticed that once again, we have another planet that has really cool science that Brandon mentioned earlier that we don't try to harness or try to get. Or part two, or come up. I thought the idea like sending people to the planet, have them go there, get the spores, get healed up, and then eventually you have a process where you have somebody go in there and get them and bring them
Oh
back and all
yeah.
healed up from whatever kind of disease they have.
Just put them in a chamber with a plant, and then they come out with spores on them. And then now that they have like the healing, you slap the fuck out of them to make them mad. And they just get to stay healthy.
Yeah. I thought that would be like it's simple. It's pretty simple. I'm assuming that you put them in pain or something like that, and if they're in pain, they just wake out of it or whatever, and then they just got healed for free.
Yeah.
I just think there's a lot of really cool science in these shows that I don't know. I just feel like they don't ever call back to or try to use for good, or unless there's a science department we just don't know about that does this like Sulu that does it on all these planets. But we don't seem to see that. Overall episode was let's see if there's outstanding and amazing and godlike. This is all in that area. This episode was amazing because Leonard Nimoy was so good in it. Like everything he did was good. And I enjoyed the episode. Just not that actress. I don't like the airy voice. I didn't like the way I don't like the way I don't know, they filmed some of the beautiful women, the way they talk. I don't like that part of it. But everything else, the episode was pretty freaking amazing.
All right. Dan, you want to go ahead?
Yeah. Overall, I enjoyed this episode. The writing in this show is just amazing. I think I kind of have to agree with Kirk's philosophy on, man is kind of meant to struggle and climb up the ranks, and we're not really meant for paradise. I have to kind of disagree with Paul on the notion that Kirk had to go in there and fuck it up again because he had to save his crew. They were all under the influence. And even after when he eventually broke the influence, everyone's like, oh yeah, besides Spock, that was pretty bad. Like, we haven't done anything. So overall, I enjoyed the episode. I thought it was good writing. Yeah, I'd recommend it.
Yeah, Kirk did go there and kind of fuck up their paradise for them, but he didn't do this one because he wanted to. He did this one because he was ordered to. So I'm more okay with it than I was with the last one. But this is my favorite episode, I think, so far of the entire season. Well, my favorite like kind of goofy one. Like, I have my favorite serious one, which was the one with the Romulans. I really, really enjoyed that. And actually, there were a couple of Corbomite maneuver I really enjoyed, but like this is my favorite, like not serious kind of goofy one. Even though it started out kind of seriously as like this, there's this kind of not abandoned, but like what the fuck happened to these people? Like we get down there and nobody's there. Like we're looking for them, and then they show up and they're fine, and there's a whole mystery. Anyway, yeah, it was like goofy, but there was also some really good serious writing. And I am gonna say that this is my favorite episode so far of the series. And I have no complaints about it. I really, really enjoyed it. So, yeah, that's it. Anything else for you guys to add?
No, I'm good.
Hopefully we get some more goofy Spock, because that was very enjoyable.
Yeah, I really enjoyed Leonard Nimoy this entire episode. I've liked him this entire series, but this episode was really, really... It let him show off his range a little bit more.
Right.
Yeah, because he showed a lot of emotion without showing emotions.
Yeah.
like the emotions he showed while not showing emotions are like was so cool that I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. So Dan, what's our next episode?
I don't know. You're gonna have to tell me.
That's because that's not how this works.
He said that worked. You must ask Paul.
Yeah, I've been waiting all week for that.
Next Put episode, me on the spot. Why don't you?
The next episode is The Devil in the Dark, and it says an unknown monster threatens a mining operation. So I'm assuming we go to a mining planet and fight some bad guy.
Bets on it just being like a humanoid creature.
Oh yeah, probably.
Yeah,
with a very terrible prop.
Yeah, or like a bad suit.
Yep, that'll be terrible, but it'll be awesome because this show is awesome.
Yep. So yeah, season 1, episode 25, The Devil in the Dark. As always, we're on Twitter at WWST_podcast, Gmail, WWSTpod@gmail.com, and we're everywhere you can find podcasts and some places that you can't. And I'm not going to tell you where those are. You just got to find them. Again, thank you everybody for listening. We hope you guys have enjoyed running through this series with us. We only got a few more left before we're the end of the season, so I'm pretty excited for that. And yeah, we'll catch you guys next time.
Be well.
Later.
Hit him with the fucking be well.